Hey parents, do you ever feel guilty for not having an hour to read with your child every day? Guess what? We don't need an hour, just 10 minutes every day, and we can get it done. The intention is to build confident readers and to be consistent. It's not perfection, but I know as parents, we tend to be hard on ourselves, wanting to make sure that we get that hour in with our child. Let's work with 10 minutes. 10 minutes every day, intentional minutes works. Welcome back to Future Leaders Read. I'm Tashana Swaby Scott, author and founder. This space is where, especially for the summer, I am talking about strategies to get our children reading, become confident readers, and future leaders to help them get set up for back to school, and to help parents figure out strategic ways to get our children excited about reading again. So, today we're talking about how to use just 10 minutes of intentional time to get our children into the habit of reading. Let's talk about the first minute. We And before that, if we think about it as parents, we are always so overwhelmed. We are busy. We leave work and we're rushing home and we're thinking about, what am I going to cook for dinner? What activities do they have today? Did they get enough reading done? I know for me in the summer, it's exactly that. I get home from work and the first thing I'm asking is, did you get reading done today? Did you take up a book today? That kind of thing. Then we're trying to get everything into the little minutes or few minutes that we have before we feed them or before we go out to activities. So I get it. It can be overwhelming as parents when we have to think about all of that and just trying to ensure that our children don't get left behind, especially during the summer. So, why does 10 minutes work? The science behind it is that reading builds vocabulary, it strengthens the brain, and it helps our children develop confidence. So even if it's just for 10 minutes every day, we know that that consistency will make a difference, right? So again, the goal is not perfection, it's consistency. The When we're thinking about, let's use this analogy. When we're eating, we don't eat for 2 hours one day per week, do we? No, we eat a little every day, different times throughout the day. And it's the same for reading. We're not going to jam 1 hour of reading in for the entire week, but rather it's more efficient to do 10 minutes per day every day of the week. Consistency is what matters. So let's look at the 10 minutes. Let's break down the 10 minutes. The first couple minutes of that 10 minutes, let's look at the book cover. Let's start by talking to our children about, what do they see on the cover? Ask them the questions. What do you see on the cover? What do you think the story is about based on the cover? What do you think the story is about based on the title of the book? Would you have chosen this color for this book? Little things like that make a difference. So you start with the cover, you start with the title, then you progress to reading the story. When you're reading the story, use your different voices, choose different characters, um, activities, clap your hands throughout the book, snap your fingers, use, get into character. If it's about animal, make the sounds of the animal. Things like that help to get them engaged and reading. And then while you're reading the story, ask them questions, and then let them ask you questions. Let them ask, what does the word mean? stop and explain the meaning of the word so that they get a full understanding of the story. Then at the end of the book, what you can do is to ask them questions again, like, who is your favorite character in the book? Would you have done it this way? If you were the main character in this book, what would you have done? Now, having read the story, would you, if you were writing the story, give the story the title, give this book the title that it has? Or what would be another title that you would give this book? Would you choose another picture from the book to be the cover of the book? How would you have ended this story? So things like that gets them engaged and excited about reading and just being creative and imaginative, right? The next thing that you can do is when you're having these 10 minutes each day, don't have those reading moments in the same space in your home every day. Change it up. If you're reading in the living room today, build a fort. If the story is going to be about a fort, build a fort. If it's about an adventure, try and get something around the house that makes it like an adventure for them. Pack a picnic basket. Have an area in your house where you pretend as if you're going to a picnic. Things like that. Those little moments of switching things up helps to keep them engaged. You may decide to have reading at bedtime today rather than in the afternoon when you get home from work with them or after dinner or things like that. You may choose a bedtime story. As I said, building the fort, different things. Go in the backyard, it's summer. If you have one, make use of it. Sit on the porch, read a book with them. These little things help to keep them engaged and just help to make reading a little bit more fun for them. So it's not the same monotonous behavior throughout the entire time, right? So ensure that we're keeping them engaged and the reading is consistent. Reading time is consistent, not necessarily as you go 1 hour for the entire week. Little by little, 10 minutes each day works. And remember, at the end of it, praise them. Let them know how well they did by identifying a word. Let them know that their thoughts mattered. Let them know, oh, you'd have chosen that title. That's a great title. That actually makes sense. Things like that encourages them. And then from that, you can probably say to them, would you like to write a story of your own? They may or may not, but at least you've sparked their interest and you're getting them into that habit of knowing that reading can be exciting, can be adventurous, can be fun, and it doesn't have to be monotonous and a chore every day, right? So spice it up, get it creative, get creative, and don't be forceful about it, but be encouraging about it. Be excited about it and be the example. So, what I want you to do for me is for this coming week, work on reading for 10 minutes every day and see how much of a difference that makes with your child. And come back and tell us in the comments how it worked for you. By the way, what book are you reading this week? Don't forget to um, come back next week where we will continue our summer series. It will actually be our final week for the summer series, and then we will start something new for back to school. So until next time, let us build confident readers, inspire dreamers, and raise future leaders. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.